From a powerful fighter in the world of assassins to Baba Yaga's closest friend, here are some characters that John Wick 5 will focus on. Starting off with Akira. As you might know, she's the daughter of the Osaka Continental's boss, Shimazu Koji, and is another new character in John Wick Chapter 4. She could easily carry her own spin-off. In the fight at the Osaka Continental in Chapter 4 of John Wick, Akira is a force to be reckoned with, both with blades and arrows. Also, John Wick 4 sets her up to continue in Kane's own story, especially since Kane's blade killed her father and Akira vowed to get even. In the scene after the end of Chapter 4, Akira's getting ready to face Kane in Paris. But Kane was also in a bad position because the life of his daughter was in danger. This puts their conflict in a gray area and makes it a story that should be continued in a spin-off. Akira's future doesn't have to go on from there either. Shimazu's death makes Akira the heiress to the Osaka Continental. This makes her a big player in the world of assassins and gives her a strong base for her own John Wick spin-off after her role in John Wick Chapter 4. Then there's this new unknown player who's a lot like John Wick in many ways, the Tracker. We don't know much about him, like what his name is or anything, but he's got a lot in common with John Wick, including their love of pups.
You, come with me. Think twice before accepting.
The movie gives the impression that the Tracker's in debt, which makes him want to help John Wick stay alive, even if it's just to raise the price on Wick's head before he can get enough money from it. Shamir Anderson's Tracker showed that he's more than ready to take over for John Wick. In Chapter 4, he was able to find Baba Yaga more than once. He was also able to fight Keanu Reeves' Hitman. Anderson's got the charm, screen presence, and fighting skills to do well in an even bigger part. Even though he didn't finish the job the Marquis paid him to do, he still made some enemies. Sure, he's a strange and interesting character in his own right, but Mr. Nobody's dog could be a sign that he and Sophia from John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, are connected in some way. That could bring Sophia back into the John Wick series for a new story. It could show that she used to be a tracker before she became the manager of the Morocco Continental.
You do realize that I'm management now, right? I'm not service anymore, John, so I don't go around shooting people in the head.
As two of John Wick's friends with very different relationships to him, Mr. Nobody and Sophia could make great leads if they worked together. And there's a lot to work with since it's never explained why he wants $23 million. This character was still new and full of potential. Sometimes it's really the retired assassins who can surprise. Kane. He's the John Wick Chapter 4 character who seems most ready to be a lead, or at least to have his own spin-off. Yen's been a big star in Hong Kong for many years, but John Wick 4 is the first Western movie to make full use of his skills. In the movie, Yen's fight scenes are amazing. His background as John's friend and Kane's being a retired assassin show that there's still a lot about his past that hasn't been explored. Kane's tense relationship with the High Table could be the basis for a story. For reasons that haven't been explained, Kane gave up his eyes to the High Table. If Kane had to go after John because his daughter's life was in danger, it could also make him want to get revenge. Because of how bad things have been between Kane and the High Table, the branch could follow him on a mission to get back to the High Table. Donnie Yen has said that he'd be interested in a Kane spin-off, and between that and the scene at the end of the movie, it seems likely that one is already in the works. The focus could be on the villains as much as the good guys too. Just take a look at Killa Hakan. So just Ruska Ruma has a grudge against the German nightclub owner Killa Hakan.
You will only have to kill one to get back in.
Give me the name.
Killa Hakan.
In order to get back into their inner group, John kills Killa in his Berlin nightclub. Even though that rules Killa out of any future John Wick stories, he could easily come back if they went back in time to learn more about how he killed Katya's father and about his own killer past. Killa could come back as the bad guy in another character's story before John Wick 4, or he could get his own movie about how he became a bad guy.
You want to kill him? I want to kill him. What about you, Mr. Vick? I'm going to kill you.
Adkins was already a well-known martial arts star, but his performance and look as Killa are very different from anything he has done before. This makes him stick out in Chapter 4. Seeing more of Killa's past and backstory in the world of John Wick can bring those same parts back tenfold. Then there's Baba Yaga's closest friend, the Bowery King. He's been the Baba Yaga's close friend since John Wick Chapter 2, and returns in Chapter 4 to help John in his fight for freedom.
You ready, John? Yeah.
As the boss of the assassins who work for the homeless, the Bowery King has long been a great character to use as the focus of a spin-off. He could also be the perfect person to learn more about his side of the assassin world. The role of this guy has long shown that the assassin society is somewhat divided into groups. This and the Bowery King's role as boss of the homeless assassins. Just two of the many stories that could be told if he's the lead in the movie. The Bowery King's refusal to follow the rules of the High Table and how he feels about them, especially after John beat the Marquis de Gramont. This could also be a great topic for a John Wick story or prequel.
I wanted to see where it didn't happen.
Where what didn't happen?
Where you didn't kill John Wick.
I've always been under the impression that contracts and executing them was optional. I have no problem with John Wick.
Also, John's cute pit bull would probably get to come back. By the end of John Wick Chapter 4, the Bowery King was taking care of the dog. None of the best characters in John Wick's books are typical. Each of them stands out in their own way, except for this next guy, Cassian, or Common. That is, unless they're really common. Gianna D'Antonio's angry guardian wasn't afraid of John Wick. On top of that, John also had a lot of respect for him. After their famous fight, Wick let Cassian live because he liked him so much. Since that goodbye on the tube, Common hasn't come back to the series, but that would only make us more excited for his own movie. What's he been doing since then? How does he fit in this world now? And how did the time he was almost killed by John Wick change him? Here's another guy linked to the Bowery King, TikTok Man. He's a loyal worker for the Bowery King. Plus, he's the only character in this movie who hasn't fought in a John Wick movie. You can see why that was a must-have for being included. After all, this is a series of action movies. But if you know about Manzuka's work, you'll know why everyone made an exception for him. He's one of the most interesting actors working today, and his TikTok Man would show this world from a different angle than almost every other possible spin-off. We'd also love to see any of these figures work together or show up in each other's movies. John Wick might be dead, but he left behind a lot of interesting people that we want to see more of. That's all for the characters that John Wick 5 will focus on.